Banker-owned U.S. government is at war with U.S. citizens. How can the president delegate to unelected officials power that he was elected to have and declare that it cannot be taken away by the voters or the courts or Congress? I tell you how, under martial law, under the War Powers Act. The American public is asleep and is unaware, nor do they care about what is going on, because it may interfere with their making money. I guess Thomas Jefferson was right again. And to preserve their independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our election between economy and liberty or profusion and servitude. If we run into such debts as that we must be taxed in our meat and in our drink, in our necessaries and our comforts, in our labors and our amusements, for our callings and our creeds, as the people of England are, our people, like them, must come to labor 16 hours in the 24, and give the earnings of 15 of these to the government for their debts and daily expenses, and the 16th being insufficient to afford us bread, we must live, as they now do, on oatmeal and potatoes. Have not time to think, no means of calling the mismanagers to account, but be glad to obtain subsistence by hiring ourselves to rivet their chains on the necks of our fellow sufferers. Thomas Jefferson, The Making of America, page 395. Submitted January 28. Lloyd Benson, of Texas, to be U.S. Governor of the International Monetary Fund for a term of 5 years. U.S. Governor of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development for a term of 5 years. U.S. Governor of the Inter-American Development Bank for a term of 5 years. U.S. Governor of the African Development Bank for a term of 5 years. U.S. Governor of the Asian Development Bank. U.S. Governor of African Development Fund. And U.S. Governor of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Presidential Documents, February 1, 1993. At the same time, Benson was the Secretary of Treasury. Gee, I don't know. This sounds like a conflict of interest and interest to me. How about you? Also, Congress is the only one under the Constitution able to appropriate money. How about a few months ago when Secretary of Treasury Rubin sent tons of money to Mexico without Congress's approval? Also, Secretary of Treasury Rubin was president of the bank that made the loans to Mexico. He was then made Secretary of Treasury and paid Mexico's debt to his bank with taxpayers' money. Again, sounds like a conflict of interest to me. Without limitation as to any other powers or authority of the Secretary of the Treasury or the Attorney General under any other provision of this order, the Secretary of the Treasury is authorized and empowered to prescribe from time to time regulations, rulings, and instructions to carry out the purposes of this order, and to provide therein or otherwise the conditions under which licenses may be granted by or through such officers or agencies as the Secretary of the Treasury may designate, and the decision of the Secretary with respect to the granting, denial, or other disposition of an application or license shall be final. Section 7, Title 12 U.S.C. Banks and Banking. Do the issues I have brought up sound like this is a constitutional government to you? I have not covered the main nexus, the money. I didn't make this information up. It is the government's own documents and legal definitions taken from their dictionaries. I wish the hard-working Americans in the government that are loyal to an American republic could read this. The more that know the truth, the better. Originally placed on the web by James Montgomery, Knowledge is Freedom BBS, 910-869-1945, High Point, North Carolina, August 27, 1995.